You know what that means.
All right, everybody, it's 1 o'clock, so we can go ahead and get started. I wanted to introduce to you Chef Tom, who's going to be doing our meal prep on a budget presentation today. So we will have a question and answer session at the end. So if you want to either drop something in the chat or wait until the end to ask that, we can take care of that then. And hopefully you all got that email with the Word document that I sent earlier that Chef Tom prepped for us. So without further ado, it's all yours.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Chef's Apprentice. My name is Chef Tom Long. I'm the executive chef of Harrisburg Area Community College, and beside me is Chef Steve Gump. He's our direct supervisor of dining services. And today we're going to talk about how to cook on a healthy cooking on a budget. So, you know, the probably number 2 cost in your household, and depending on how big your household, how many people are living in it, it might be number 1 is your food budget. It can be more than your mortgage or your rent. I mean, how you spend your money. It's usually number 2 though, and so it's really important to kind of put a plan together for how you're going to go around buying your food and how you're going to spend your money. So, a couple of things we want to talk about today is to kind of put a plan together, how to cross-utilize different ingredients or like same ingredients into different dishes. We're going to make 4 different dishes out of a roasted chicken, not just one roasted chicken, but using a roasted chicken for 4 different dishes. And we'll talk about the cost in dollars and some of the same ingredients, very similar. We want to talk about some healthy cooking tips. We want to talk a little bit about some pots, pans, utensils, things if you don't have them in your kitchen, things you might want to utilize. And where to resource those type of ingredients. We're going to talk a little bit about fresh versus frozen, which is better. And then we're going to do some recipes. So, maximizing your food pantry. If you look behind me here on my right, so I have a bunch of different ingredients. And if you notice, a lot of them are store brands. Store brand meaning Weiss Store or Finest. They're not always the name brand. A lot of things like Quick Oats, pasta, buying the store brand is less expensive. And if you're going to cook it and put a sauce on it or whatever you're going to do with it, a lot of times those items are packed by big name brands for the stores. So you could be getting the very same product just for less dollars. Okay? Because I guarantee you the Weiss Store doesn't have a pasta maker up in Sunbury packing it. So they're getting it from somebody. They're sourcing it. So, and also some items, other things, cereal, store brands on cereals. A lot of times name brand companies are actually packing these boxes for the store brands. So a lot of people, they count on the brand names and the advertising. They count on you to say, oh, I got to have Kellogg's. But it might be the same product for all you know. So, and then some other things we have some different types of beans, black beans, Great Northern beans, these are store brand, and then dry beans. These are actually dry lentils, but just different things that you can keep on your shelf in case you need it that isn't expensive. So when you do go shopping, you want to look for what they call our loss leaders. And loss leaders are where the store actually sell things at very, very little profit or no profit at all, just to get you to come into the store to buy. So it might be, buy one, get one, or a great price, things that they're advertising in their flyers. That's how they get you to come in. And they hope while you're there, you're going to buy all the other stuff that they make money on. That's kind of how it works. So if you're going to start out with your kitchen, you don't have a lot of stuff in your kitchen. I'm just going to go over some of the basics that you want to have. Okay. Now these are things, most of these things are out of the HACC kitchen, so you may not find these to be as fancy as what you're going to find at other places, but nowadays they actually do have things called the Restaurant Depot, the Restaurant Store, where you can actually go buy better grade equipment. But you want some type of mixing bowl set to work with. These are 3 different sizes. This is what we call a stock pot. Okay. This is a 4-quart stock pot. And this is what you would make chili, spaghetti sauce. If you were going to cook pasta, you want to have something like this. This is an older Teflon version. This just came out of my house that I've used for a long time. If you buy a good brand, it'll last you. It can last you a lifetime. This is called a saucepan. This is actually a 1.5 quart saucepan, and you would use this to make maybe heat up a small amount of soup. And these are all Teflon coated, or were at one point, since I've used them hard. This is an item you may not know what it is, but it's actually a steaming basket. And what it does is it opens up like a flower, okay? And you would sit that in the bottom of your pot with a level of water underneath there, and then put your veggies in top of there, and then put a lid on it, and it steams your veggies. Very easy. You can find them. It's a gadget, but it's not a bad thing to have. And then this is a strainer, and they have different versions of this, small sets, big sets. The strainer usually has a long handle. A colander would be similar, but it would have 2 handles and bigger holes. But you need something like this if you're going to cook pasta and you want to drain the hot water off. These are the basic tools. So if you're going to do any type of baking, for sure you need to measure. So it's really important. This is called a dry measuring cup. This is what you would measure things like flour, sugar, that kind of item, where you don't have to see inside of it. So you could scoop out flour, level it off, and you have a 1/2 cup. This is a liquid measuring cup, so you want to be able to see the lines. It's really important. So if you're asking for a 1/2 cup of an item, of a liquid item such as butter, or oil, juice, whatever, you want to be able to go up to the line. So you want to have at least one of each of those, and you want to have some measuring spoons. It's always important to have a set. Baking is formulas. Savory food, or things where you prepare pasta, they're more concoctions, things that you put together. So if you put a little more garlic in, you just enhance the garlic. We're baking, all the things have to work together. So you have to follow the formula for it to come out. This is a whisk. This is a wire whisk. They make heavy duty. This is more of a piano wire whisk. This is somebody call it metal spatula. Some folks call it a turner. This is a rubber spatula. This type of handle here is a hot handle. So it's better around things of heat. You see ones that are like all white, they're more used for cold food. Okay. A ladle, you need a ladle of some type if you're going to ladle things out, sauces. And a pair of tongs. I live by a pair of tongs. Growing up in the restaurant business, you don't want to grab them here. You want to grab them up here so that you can, if you had to, you could pick something up with them. Okay, you want to have strength in your tongue. It's really an extension of your hands. But it's good to have a couple pairs of those. And then you obviously need some serving spoons and things like that. A lot of people ask about knives. You basically need 3 knives in your kitchen. I have 2 of them here. A boning knife, and then this is called a chef's knife or a French knife. And I have different versions of that, but you need to do, if you're going to do any type of food preparation. And that's one of the things that came about from the pandemic is people had to learn to cook that didn't cook. So they had to be a little more, so cooking shows. I know we did a Zoom cooking show here at the college starting back in April. And you can go out and find it. Chef Steve joined me in the fall. And 5-minute meals with Chef Tom. Then we did Let's Get Cooking with Chef Tom. And this semester we're doing live from the Chef's Apprentice, where it's not just me and Chef Steve. We actually have some other chefs coming in. But those are just some of the basics. So fresh versus frozen. Well, basically you're talking about a couple different things. Proteins and produce. When I say proteins, I mean like fish, chicken, beef, and then produce are things like vegetables, things that, when you buy them fresh, anything fresh, proteins, veggies, there's a shelf life on them. So you have to plan them into your menu. That's when you want to use them, because you can buy them. You don't know how long the store had them before you bought them. So there's a shelf life. So frozen lasts for a pretty long time in your freezer, as long as your freezer holds temp. The worst thing that can happen to it is they might get freezer burn. But if you buy and you rotate your products, and that means as you get new stuff, you put it behind the old stuff and make sure you use the old stuff first. Frozen veggies, what the difference is, they're blanched. In order for them to be frozen, they blanch them just a little bit so that the freezing process keeps the cell structure together. So some things like frozen peas, you can thaw out and eat because they're so small, they're partially cooked. If you've ever seen, when we used to have salad bars in the world, you would see peas on a salad bar, and they were basically frozen peas that were thawed out. Corn, same way. They're already kind of blanched, and they're ready to eat right as they are. When you cook them, is basically heating them up and then adding your butter, salt, and pepper. So my first demonstration I want to do is I want to show you how to break down a roasted chicken. So I bought 2 roasted chickens at the Weiss store yesterday, and they were on, normally they're $5.99. So if you don't have a club card at a grocery store, you should make sure you get one, because they're called loyalty cards. You get gas points, you get all kinds of stuff, but you get deals too. So I bought 2 roasted chickens at the Weiss store. After the club card discount, they were $4.88 for 1 roasted chicken. Okay, so this morning I took that 1 roasted chicken and I cleaned it. All right, I removed all the bones. I'm going to show you how to do that. And this is the meat that I got out of it. And one of the things that we're taught as chefs is not to waste things. So I know you can't eat the bones, but what you can do is save the bones and make stock. And I'm going to show you what I did. So basically I pulled all this skin off. Now, if you buy the roasted chicken to eat, that's 1 meal right there, just to eat it as a roasted chicken. Okay. If you buy 2 and say, well, we're going to eat 1 and I'm going to save 1, you want to save all the bones from the first one and then clean the second one. And it's easier to clean if it's a little warm. This one's a little cold, but it's okay. And basically I'm going to get all the white meat, the dark meat out of there, put it on a tray here. And I want to save all this stuff. Okay. Because this is what everybody throws away. They all go, I don't want that. Actually, you do want it. They sell things in the grocery store called soup bases that basically a lot of them are salt. And if you can make your own stock, and if you look at the expansion of the stock selection and the bone broth selection that's in a grocery store, it's doubled from what it was. Because a lot of people are getting into cooking. They want to have that kind of product. They may not want to go to this much trouble. This isn't really that much trouble, really. So I'm picking the meat off of here. Just want to make sure that I don't have any bones, because some of these little splinter bones in here in the leg meat, no cartilage. I don't pick the wings because these are small. All right, I actually put them in my stock. But real quick, this is the final touch here. I'm just going to pull this backbone out. And this is the string that they use to tie it up. And these are the breast lobes. Now you can pull some of the drummy meat off. There's meat there. So it takes a little bit of effort. But good food that's what it does. It takes a little bit of work. But you're saving money, and that's the most important thing. So all these little things here, this is stock. All right, we actually want all that stuff. We're going to put all that in the pot, and I'm going to show you what I did with it. So I'm going to take my boning knife.
Sure.
I'm just going to kind of go down each side just to loosen it up. And I want to get a nice breast lobe off of there, make sure there's no bones. And this is how we have this. All right, make sure you get the wishbone out of there. All right. Same thing. Okay. Very simple. So what I did was I put all these ingredients into a pot and I cooked them. So when I was done, this is what I came up with. So I cooked these down. You can see that. And this is kind of the remoulage of what was left after I cooked it and reduced it. And then I got a nice rich chicken stock. Okay. We're actually going to make two different things with that chicken stock. But I just wanted to show you how you get the meat off of the bone. All right. It's product utilization. And then, so before we go into our entrees, I want to do a breakfast item. So because I think you start with breakfast before you start with lunch or dinner. Am I correct? So this is baked oatmeal. So baked oatmeal is really easy. I'm going to show you how easy it is to put together. And basically, I have everything measured out. 3 cups of oats. I use these oats. I didn't have to use Quaker. Brown sugar, milk, canola oil, vanilla. This is a mixture of baking soda, cinnamon, and salt. Okay. So our dry ingredients first. We kind of mix those up. Chef Steve, I'm going to ask you to take your gloves and just kind of manipulate those if that ever comes out. There we go. And blend that together. So because it's baked, it's a formula. So you have to kind of stick with what it is. You can't, but you can adapt it. If you look at the handout and the recipe for baked oatmeal, there are some variations. If you want lower fat, you can substitute some applesauce in place of part of the oil to give it some more body. If you don't like vanilla extract, you can do almond extract. Okay. If you like dried fruit, raisins, craisins, dried pineapple, those kind of things, you would put them into this and you would bake it at that time. Some people put chocolate chips in it. Some people put coconut in it. Some people put apples in it. Things you don't want to put in it are real wet fruits like pineapple, mandarin oranges, things that have a lot of liquid because they're going to change the composition of the baked oatmeal. So harder fruits like pears, canned peaches would be okay. Fresh apples would be all right. All right. So then our dry ingredients, I'm going to give Chef Steve the whip here. We're going to start adding our liquid ingredients. There's our milk. This is our vanilla. This is half a cup of canola oil. And then I got 2 eggs here. So Chef Steve's going to mix that up. It's very easy. Once it comes together, like I said, you can do all kinds of stuff with it. Make it the way you want to make it. And in my house, we bake this up on a Sunday, and all week we munch off of it. Warm it up in the microwave with just a little bit of heat just to get it warm, and add a little bit of skim milk to it to make it soft. It's very easy to do. All right. And then Chef Steve's gonna spatula that into that pan. Now, if you don't have casserole dishes, it's okay to use a foil pan. You'll kind of want to level it out. And it's a little wet, and that's okay because it's going to bake. As it bakes, what's going to happen is that oatmeal is going to swell. Okay. So we're going to go back here and put this in our make-believe oven. And what's amazing is we have another one that's already ready, just like the magic of television. So I'm going to ask Chef Steve if he can cut me a nice piece out of there. Sure can. And a good way to get fruit into your diet is with baked oatmeal. I have a nice kind of a soup bowl here. And what I have here is some fresh strawberries. I added just a tiny bit of powdered sugar to them, just so that they make a little bit of a syrup, okay? And it actually helps to preserve them too. So when you buy fruit, especially blueberries, strawberries, in the grocery store, one of the things that happens is they have a short shelf life. They may have 2-3 days in your refrigerator. So some ideas are to do this, to kind of clean them, just put a little powdered sugar on them. It gives it a syrup. It helps preserve it just a little bit. Another idea is to take them and quarter them and lay them out on a sheet tray with some wax paper and pop them into your freezer. So you want to freeze them. And what we're doing there is we're individually freezing the strawberries. And once they're frozen, take them off that tray and put them in a Ziploc bag. They are great for smoothies, okay? Because you're going to see through this process. Thank you, Chef. That one of the keys is product utilization. You know, grocery stores, they all want your dollar. It's buy one, get one. Okay, normally it's $4.99, buy one, get one free. So, but that's not always the price. A lot of times the strawberries are actually $2.99, and what they'll say is, it makes you look like you're getting a deal, but you're not. And a lot of times if you don't buy two, you don't get the discount. So we just want to garnish our oatmeal with just some fresh berries. You can do this with blueberries too. Okay. And this would go great if you don't like skim milk, if you like almond milk. Almond milk is great on something like that. Fresh berries, fresh baked oatmeal. Okay. And the cost of making that recipe is very minimal. So, all right, next. We're going to put together a quick soup. All right. So, I'm plugged in. Thank you, Chef. I'd be lost without Chef Steve here. He saves me all the time. Thank you, Chef. You're welcome. All right, so soup, simple ingredients. Need a good chicken stock. That's the base. The soup we're going to make today is a black bean and rice, chicken and black bean and rice soup. So I say chicken, but I don't really have to put the chicken meat in the chicken soup because I'm using the chicken broth. And because black beans are a protein, I'm still getting my source of protein. So what I have here is 1 cup of diced white onion, half a cup of diced carrots, and a half a cup of diced celery. I just want to sweat that a little bit just to get it started. And I use, basically to get that, I use like a half a carrot. So if you don't know how to chop up your own vegetables, one of the things that they are doing in the grocery store now is they're pre-prepping vegetables for you so that you can get things already done. It is a time saver. An onion is not an expensive product. Celery is not an expensive product. All right, so we get some heat going on that. So basically sweating this, I didn't put any oil, any fat or anything in there. It's just straight heat. All right, but I'm keeping my pan moving. I don't know if you can see that, Pete. All right. And now I need my chicken stock. So I'm going to add 1 quart of my chicken stock. Okay. I'm just going to bring that to a boil. Now, these beans came out of this can. So basically they're already cooked. Okay. If I was using dry beans, I would have to soak my beans overnight to get them to swell ahead of time, to slow down or to speed up the cooking process. Because I'm using canned beans, basically they can go in very close to the end. My goal here is to get this to a boil, to get my veggies to finish cooking. And then I'm going to add my rice. I cooked a little bit of Uncle Ben's rice. And one of the tricks to cross-utilization is I can put the basics together for my soup, like the veggies and the beans, and get it to that point. And then before I serve it, I add my rice. You can almost add it out of the refrigerator, or you can add it as it was just cooked. One of the mistakes a lot of cooks will make is they'll dump the rice into the soup while it's hot, and then it keeps cooking. And it swells up, and it soaks up all your broth. And then you have this kind of soup that has no broth, that's all rice. And you always think, how'd that happen? And even if you think you took it off in time and you put it in the refrigerator, when you go back the next morning, it's kind of absorbed all that. Same with pasta. If you make like chicken noodle soup or chicken orzo soup, you want to try to add your pasta, add these starchy items right before you serve them, because then you're kind of controlling the starch. The other thing is I cooked 1.5 cups of rice. Okay, Pete, I don't know if you can see that. That's kind of what I got out of that. So I actually got 6 cups of rice out of 1.5 cups of rice. Okay, so, and that box of rice costs $2. So we're looking at about 30 cents a serving, 30 cents a cup. So I want to use that in a couple different ways. So if I use it, I add it to my soup before I serve it. Okay, we're cooking here. It'll stretch out farther over the meal instead of just putting everything in there and go, okay, now what do I do? So save your rice separately. Rice cooked like this can last about 4 or 5 days in your refrigerator. You don't want to keep it any longer than that because it can be a little bit of a volatile food. So, what's the most famous soup in the world? Chef Steve, what's the most famous soup in the world?
Tomato soup.
Campbell's tomato soup. I know I have on your packet 12 things you can do with Campbell's tomato soup. It's a great product. It goes a long way. You can do a lot of different things. If I wanted to change my soup up a little bit, I could add my can of Campbell's tomato soup to my soup to give it a little bit more body. All right, should we do that?
Sure.
Okay, he says let's do it. All right, and this is a shelf-stable item, and one of the things that you learn through cooking is experimentation. So tomato soup is a condensed soup. That means that it's cooked down and you have to add liquid to it. So we're going to do that. We're actually going to add this to our liquid. It's not going to look exactly like tomato soup, but it's going to give the soup a little bit of a tomato flavor. We're going to let that cook up just a little bit. Ah, it's looking good. Good idea, Chef Steve. I want to kind of whisk this. Now you saw how I actually got twice the amount of soup out of 1 can of soup and 1 can of beans and a little bit of veggies. Okay. All right, we're going to let that simmer. And before we plate it up, then we'll put our rice in it. One of the things I did was I made a garnish for the soup. And basically these are flour tortillas, 6-inch flour tortillas. I cut them into strips. I sprayed them with a little bit of food release. And then I baked them in the oven. They're not fried, okay? They're baked, so they're very healthy. And if you don't have crackers, you know, you got to go buy a whole box of saltines. Sometimes they don't last very long. Sometimes they get stale. This is actually a great way to add those kind of mixers in with your soups. So, and they also work great on salads. So our soup's cooking. Does anybody have any questions so far? If you do, if you can put them into the chat. Stephanie can let me know. Little. Now, if you wanted to add some other flavors to this soup, if you wanted to add a little bit of chili powder, some cumin, you can go as far as you want. You don't have to add the cooked chicken meat. All right. So I'm going to take a measuring cup here, and I'm going to just place this in the center of my bowl, so I have a little bit of rice. All I'm doing is ladling around my rice. Chef Steve, can I have a towel, please? I just want to clean up my bowl just a little bit. And then Chef Steve's going to garnish my soup with a little bit of tortilla strips right there in the center. All right. There you go. Quick and easy. Homemade from scratch. All right. Cost is probably about, because the chicken's already paid for because we're doing other stuff with that. Let's see. $1.60, and I probably got enough to feed, enough for probably 5 or 6 bowls like that. So that's not bad. So the rice, you know, is what it is. It's an extender. So when I grew up, my parents were born in the Depression era. So one of my first restaurant jobs was I went to work at a place called Big Boy. It was LB's or Bob's Big Boy. And a friend of mine was sitting across the lunch table eating a bowl of chili. And I said, "What's that?" And he said, it's chili. Haven't you ever seen it? And I said, well, where's the macaroni? So he looked at me like I was crazy. And when I went home and told my dad, I said, Dad, they make chili without macaroni. And my dad started laughing. And he said, well, he explained that they grew up in tough times and things like pasta and rice and things like that, stretched out meals. So it could be a whole meal. So that's why I say it's an extender. All right, Chef Steve is going to make a salad.
All right. What we're going to make today is a strawberry field salad with chicken on it. So at the grocery store, they have spring mix that looks just like this. Has a combination of a couple different lettuces in it. It has baby spinach, red leaf, regular green leaf lettuce, and some baby Swiss chard. And like I said, you can buy this at the grocery store. Lettuce is relatively inexpensive. So what we're going to do is start. We're going to move a little bit of our greens into a separate bowl. Just get a base for our salad. Next, we have some strawberries here that I quartered. Going to mix a few of them in there. Got some mandarin oranges here, which are really good, especially going with the time of year that we're going. This in spring, it's a nice spring and summer fruit. So we're going to put some of those in. Also got some julienne red onion here, or thinly sliced red onion. Throw some of that in there. And next we're going to make a simple balsamic dressing. So if you have any kind of container at home, this is a deli container we have here. You can throw it even in a Tupperware container to mix it up. So what you're going to do, you're going to I have balsamic. I have 2 ounces of balsamic, 2 ounces of lemon juice. Got some honey, about half a teaspoon of honey, 2 teaspoons of vegetable oil, some salt and pepper. I got some balsamic, or some Dijon mustard here. What I'm going to do, all you got to do is put your lid on what you're making and just shake it up. You don't need, some people say you need a blender to make a balsamic. This is one that you could just shake right in a container and it mixes it all together for you. All right. Once that's all mixed together, going to pour it right over top of your greens. Now, when you pour it over top of your greens, you don't want to pour it all on it. What happens is it soaks into the lettuce and it actually wilts it. So you're just going to want to toss it lightly in the bowl. Get another gloved hand here. And what we're going to do is we're going to build our salad. When you build your salad, I'm going to get a nice handful of greens, place them right in the middle. Something with salads that you could do is you want to build height. Makes it look really good. and really presentable. You get all those nice colors in there. The orange from the mandarin oranges, the red from the strawberries. All right, and at this point, we're going to take our chicken and slice it down with our French knife. A little bit of bone in there, it's all right. Just gotta make sure you take that out of there. I'm just gonna do some nice little pieces of chicken. Or you can either place it on top of the salad, or what I'm actually gonna do is you can press on the top of it to fan it out. Just slide your knife right underneath. And you shingle it right on the side of the salad. And there's a strawberry field salad.
All right. Great job, Chef Steve. That looks awesome. Well, this is the kind of salad, too. I know we have a presentation as an individual platter, but this is the kind of salad you could actually put all your greens on a plate, shingle your salad, your chicken over top, and you could do a sort of a family-style entree salad for your family. One container of greens, spread out your chicken, your berries, all right? And it's enough, especially it's a great summer meal. So we're going to clean up for just a second here. All right. So I have chicken stock left over because I got 2 quarts out of what I had. All right. So what I want to do is make a homemade enchilada sauce. It's very easy. I have one ready to go to show you how to build the enchiladas. But we're going to start off with a half a cup of oil. And basically what I'm going to do is make a canola oil and flour roux. It sounds like it's complicated. It's not. I need a whip. Perfect. Thank you. So I'm going to heat up my oil. I'm going to add my flour. I'm going to mix it in there so that it gets nice and smooth. Once that starts to cook, it's going to just start to brown just a little bit. That's kind of what it looks like. It's a little thin. Okay. So as it cooks, starts to cook down, because this isn't a lot, there's not a lot in here. It'll start to bubble and it'll cook the gluten in the flour. It'll start to thicken up. All right. And then what I have here is chili powder, cumin, and paprika. So my roux is starting to bubble. It means it's getting good and hot. And this is a great way to develop these spices together. So I'm going to put that right in there. So basically I'm making like a chili powder roux. I'm going to show you what this looks like here. Okay. Kind of has that color. You can smell the chili powder and the cumin cooking together. Garlic. Okay. Got some fresh chopped garlic. Put that in there. It's starting to bubble away. So I'm going to add my chicken stock. I'm going to add half of it. And I'm going to mix. This doesn't take long to come together, especially if your stock is kind of hot. You can see what's already starting to thicken up. Okay. I'm going to add more stock because that's thicker than what I want. All right, we'll get that up to a boil. And while that's starting to cook, I'm going to work on my enchilada stuffing. Okay, I need some of the cooked chicken meat. There we go. So this is all the dark meat left from the chicken. I'm going to take that and I'm going to chop it up just in smaller pieces so it's easier to work with. I'm going to slide that into my bowl. And I'm going to add one small can, that's what this size is, of nice green chilies, half a cup of white onion, 1 pack of cheese. And this is cheddar jack cheese. This is, again, it's a White Store product. If you like the Mexican blend, you can use that, whatever. This is kind of what I use. I'm going to mix that in with my chicken and vegetables. Chef Steve's going to mix that up. All right, that smells good. Just add a little more stock. That's almost ready. So this is our chicken and cheese mixture. All right, still same chicken. 1 pack of the cheese, which is actually like 2 cups of cheese, green chilies, diced onions. All right. So we're actually going to put together, this is kind of, if you have a lot of enchiladas to do, we kind of do it this way. But even if you don't, if you want to work off your countertop, basically put some plastic wrap down first. It makes easy cleanup. All right. So for enchiladas, we need tortillas. We need our mix. And we need our sauce. That sauce there is ready. So what I did is I wanted to show you how to make the sauce, but I actually made sauce ahead of time. Okay, so you want to take your tortillas and just kind of dip them in the sauce. And then lay them out on your plastic. Chef Steve's going to put the filling in. So we're going to work in tandem here. Let me get this out of the way just so you can see. But this sauce is about a quart of sauce, and it's probably enough for a couple batches of enchiladas. It's the whole enchilada here. I'm sorry, I can't help myself. It's a dad joke. You know, they're in there. They got to come out. So the idea too is to get equal amounts of filling. If you have an ice cream scoop, that's a great way to portion. Okay. And then you need a baking pan. So Chef Steve's going to roll them up. And then when you roll them, we want to roll them and we want to put them in here seam side down. Okay, kind of like that. Now the chicken's already cooked. Basically, if you did these in a glass casserole dish, you can microwave them if you wanted to. If you were in a hurry, because you know how you have a hungry family, nobody wants to wait. Okay, so there's 6. I think we can probably get 4 more in there. You want them a little tight together because if they're going to spread out when they heat up. We're going to do 2 for a display plate.
Gotcha.
So you see, this didn't take long. And I'm using the same pack of tortillas I use for my soup. Okay, same chicken that we boned out, same stock that I used to make for my bean soup. All right, so they look pretty good. Need a ladle. Should be one in the soup. Soup. And I'm going to do one more set here just for our display plate. Looks like we have enough for about 3. Okay. So I want to take my ladle and just put a little extra sauce over top, like that. And it's easy to serve these with sour cream, salsa, lettuce, tomato. And if you don't like chicken, you can put just about anything in an enchilada. When I was the chef at Holy Spirit, we used to do a spinach and cheddar jack enchilada with frozen chopped spinach, squeezed it out real well. People loved it. So Chef Steve's going to put 3 in the center of the plate here, and we're going to garnish it. And of course, you know, you can never have enough cheese. So we want to sprinkle a little bit of that on top. All right. Down the middle. More cheese, and we'll get some of those green onions. So here's the thing. There's our enchilada tray. All right. This is our enchilada plate. I need to clean up. I take my plastic, I fold it, I'm done. Look at that. Easy peasy. I'm going to dice up a little bit of green onion here. I want to talk a little bit about cutting boards too. So you can buy different cutting boards in some of the restaurant stores. Even Family Dollar has different types of cutting boards. Then they started to sell a set of red, green, and white. And then typical kitchen protocol, And you can say, well, this is, yeah, but this is my house. Well, you know what? It's really about safety. If you're going to cut up red meat, we always use a red board. If you're going to cut up vegetables, you can use a white board, but it usually should be a green board. And ready to eat means like a sandwich or cheese, anything where it's not going to have any more cooking. All right. You can't have an enchilada without green onions. It's just against the law. All right. One last thing, and then we'll go to any type of question and answers. I'm going to surprise Chef Steve. He didn't know he was doing this, but he does this all the time, so. We're going to make our own fish sticks. And so I have you all set up. Everything's set up. So nowadays, air fryers are a big thing, and Instapots. So people are trying to get away from deep frying. Well, being 9 years in a healthcare facility, frying was something that you stayed away from altogether. So what I have here is a tilapia fillet, and I basically cut it into stripes, basically sticks. Okay, there's about 2 ounces, or I'm sorry, about 2 tablespoons of canola oil. Chef Steve's going to take the fillet, the sticks, toss them in the oil. And then what I have here is cornflake crumbs. Now you can use all kinds of things for breading. These come all ready to go. All right. And they cost about $3.60. You think, wow, that's expensive. Well, actually, they go a long way. And but it's a great way to bread things. Real simple. You toss them. You set them up on your tray, and then you bake them off in the oven. One of the tricks of the trade, always spray your tray. I was looking for that. So it makes easy cleanup, but it's also healthy cooking. This is Food Release. I call it Food Release. It has a brand name. So what's nice about a product like this is one tilapia fillet. I think it costs $2.49. So there are fish sticks, but what else can we do with them? Fish tacos. All right, really easy. So now you take the rest of your flour tortillas and you put them in a fish taco with some shredded lettuce. You can make some, take some sour cream and add a little bit of lime juice to it to make kind of a crema. There's all kinds of things you can do with it. But there's no frying in your house. And these will take about 10 to 12 minutes in the oven and they're ready to go. So very, very simple. So getting a lot for your dollars. So I know there's going to be a ton of questions out there. So does anybody have any questions about stuff that's on the packet or some of the recipes that we've done?
Well, I just wanted to thank you, Chef Tom, too. Obviously, we can open the floor to any questions. If anybody wants to unmute themselves, you don't have to put it in the chat. But somebody did just ask, why did you dip fish in canola oil instead of eggs?
I'm sorry. I couldn't hear it. Can you repeat the question, please?
Oh, sure. It says, why did you dip fish in canola oil instead of eggs?
Because what you're doing is you're doing oven frying. So by taking the fish and putting it in a tiny amount of oil, and then you coat your fish with your crumbs, it basically, it helps it stick to the protein, and then you bake it up. You don't have to have eggs. Traditional breading is flour, egg wash breadcrumbs, and then you get this thick coating, but you almost need to use raw breadcrumbs, which aren't kind of round, and then deep fried. This is oven frying. It's a different method. And one less ingredient, two less ingredients.
Anyone else? Questions? Comments? We got a lot of great feedback on the salad. That seems to be the favorite.
Nice.
I think they're all just stumped. They're just so impressed. That's what I'm thinking is what's going on.
Well, you know what? Read over the packet. There's a lot of information on there. One of the things we didn't talk about was the 12 ways to use tomato soup. But if you go over that, there's a lot. It just shows you the versatility of one product that might be in your pantry that everybody thinks you only heat it up and serve it with a grilled cheese sandwich. So there's a lot more things that you can do with it. And that's one of the keys that you want to do is try to get some, it doesn't take a lot of knowledge. And some of it's a little bit of experimentation on learning how to use the stuff that's already in. When the pandemic happened, people were afraid to go to the grocery store. So they came up with these creative classes. There were a lot of chefs that were going out and doing Zoom classes, myself included, on what to use up with what's already at your house that you don't have to go get. So we're in a lockdown, so you learn to utilize product. And the whole idea of managing your food budget is eliminating waste. And I can tell you, in America, we're one of the most wasteful countries in the world when it comes to food. We always, you know, the old trick, don't go to the grocery store hungry. It's the truth, because you buy way more than what you want because you think you're going to eat it. And, you know, it's easier if you plan a couple meals. And then if you a lot of the meals that you can get 2 meals out of. And this is just to show you today, utilization for one chicken, some of the different things that we did just by using different products. But
absolutely. It does look like we have a question. Are store brands healthier than name brands?
Are store brands healthier? I don't think so. I think they're probably about the same. If you, and I'm not sure exactly what you're referring to, name brands people associate with consistency and quality. There's certain, and I say the White Store, I just live close to a White Store. There's certain things I buy at the White Store. I want the White Store brand because I'm so used to it that that's what I want. And just an example, shredded cheese. The White Store brand was $2.39 for the packet of cheese. If you buy 3, they're $1.99, $1.97 a piece. So you can save your money. But if you would buy Sargento or buy Kraft, you're probably looking at $3 a packet.
Wow.
And it's really probably, I don't think it's that much difference. So it depends on what you want to use it for. If you're going to mix it into a sauce, you're fine with store brand.
Perfect. Well, it doesn't look like we have any more questions. So I just want to say thank you so much to both of you and for IT for filming this. Sound quality was great.
Awesome. We appreciate that. Thank you, everybody, for coming out. And if you get a chance, next Monday at 11:30, we're going to have another cooking show live from the Chef's Apprentice. It's Women's History Month, so actually we're going to have a guest chef, Chef Casey Callahan. She's one of our baking instructors. She'll be on the set with us. We're going to be doing Irish food or St. Patrick's Day food. So that's at 11:30.
Wonderful. Thank you again.
Have a great day.
Yeah.